Now we're going to move on to a panel discussion. Now, deciding between performance and brand advertising has been a long standing debate. Can brands striving for inspirational brand building also achieve performance marketing success? Or is brand work inconsistent with metrics, measurement, and real time nature of performance marketing? What are the ramifications of prioritizing one strategy over the other? These are some of the questions that we're going to take up in our next panel discussion, which is on the role of technology for building brands versus performance marketing. So please welcome our moderator for this session, Mr. Vikram Sakhuja, Group CEO, Madison Media. And joining him in this discussion as speakers are Mr. Puneet Das, President, Packaged Beverages, India and South Asia, Tata Consumer Products, Mr. Vivek Malhotra, Group CMO, India Today Group, Mr. Manish Gupta, Group Chief Information Officer, Aditya Birla Group, Mr. Alok Agarwal, Chief Marketing Officer, Orient Bell, Mr. Abhinav Kumar, Vice President Marketing, Paytm, and Ms. Juhi Ramakrishnan, Independent Marketing and Brand Strategy Consultant. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and discuss this very important and debated issue. I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Sakhuja, to take this discussion forward. And I think Juhi ma'am will also be joining us. Yeah, she's there. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anisha. A very warm welcome to all the attendees of this fantastic conference, and of course to the wonderful panel that we have with us today. The interesting thing about the entire digitization that we're talking about is it's actually given practice to this entire through the funnel marketing. So at one level, you've got branding at the top, which is all about, getting an ad and buying reach and impressions in order to build awareness and consideration. And then you also have at the bottom of the funnel, some very hardworking stuff that is happening to drive pure leads, walk-ins, sales, so the entire performance part. So the marketing that I sort of grew up with told me that when it comes to making a brand choice, consumers, there's a certain role that psychological equity of brands play, and there's a certain role that general market salience, be it price, distribution, media salience, these are the two things which actually determine the brand choice. To some extent, performance may be talking about the salience piece to some extent, and of course, brand building is a psychological equity piece. Now, at one level, classical marketers like FMCG have typically gone the psychological equity building route, and now they are quickly bolting on the entire performance game to their arsenal. And on the other side, the digital first marketers, they probably wrote the book on performance marketing, and they are also now getting into the branding side of things. So therefore, I think we have a pretty deadly panel to actually talk about this. We have two dyed-in-the-wool marketers, Puneet and Alok. I mean, Puneet, of course, is Tata Consumer Care. Alok is ex-GSK, now Orient Bell Tiles. So they have really seen the classical marketing, and now how they are pivoting to the entire digital piece. We have, on the other hand, Mr. Trivago himself, Abhinav, who's now Mr. Paytm. He's one of the only CMOs who I've seen who's also put himself in the ad and done an amazing job of it. Absolute fantastic to have you out there. So he can tell you how and he's probably also probably under 30 or maybe just over 30 guys. Sorry to put you on the spot there, but you're also going to bring up the young brigade, I think, in all of this. And then, of course, we have Manish, who's going to actually bring a perspective to the entire digital marketing piece, saying that marketing is no longer the preserve of just the CMO, and the CIO actually can weigh in a lot on the way actually marketing, or at least digital branding versus performance, can actually be sort of played out. And then we have Vivek, who's actually, this is an interesting one. He's a media owner, and he's actually, as we speak, embracing just about everything, whether it's print, whether it's the TV piece or the entire online piece, and he's actually doing a pretty good job of growing all three of them. So he's actually also in a position to actually not only view it from the media standpoint, but also see how legacy and new age is actually working. And not the least, we have Juhi, my old friend. So she's an independent consultant, and It's a job of a consultant to question status quo. So if any brand has to give growth, so I would love to get her perspective on what the market is doing about branding versus performance, and let's see where this 1 hour takes us. So the way I'm going to start this off is, I think we'll be able to talk three broad issues. Really, one is, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is branding versus performance. Then how are people really evaluating it? And then what is the future? So let's just dive straight in. Okay, Alok, from building, sorry, is everybody on?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think we'll start with Alok. So I would, fundamentally, how is brand building different from performance marketing? And if you can give your perspective from your good GSK days, your current Orient Build days, you've probably pivoted it in a big way to performance. Fundamentally, how would you say the two are different?
Absolutely. I would also bring my eBay days here, where I focused more on performance than brands, right? I think fundamentally, performance is lower end of the funnel. Branding is the upper funnel. Look at what it means typically, but performance is specific, it's personalized, it's specific to a consumer, and you entice it. You customize creatives. If he's looking for a mobile phone, you show him the respective mobile phone in the respective price bracket, and you try and convert him. So performance tends to be one-on-one marketing. Unfortunately, the branding side has not yet seen that as much. And there are companies which do it, or there are brands which do it, but it tends to be less rigorous. I am passing a sweeping judgment. Puneet will jump on me. It tends to be ad bana 25 to 45, SEC AB plus. Let's roll with it. Okay, now, and that's why it tends to tend to get cut more often than performance. But I think the principles of one could flow to the other more later in the panel.
Wonderful. So that's a great way to start. So Alok, he's already given you, Puneet, Alok has given you a segue. So do you think performance marketing builds equity? Vice versa, does branding demonstrably build sales? And from there, then I'll have a follow-up question to that.
Oh, sure. So I mean, I don't think this is about a question of having either or in the end. I think branding is long-term and performance marketing is short-term, and it's far more transactional. It requires a call to action, which is fairly immediate, and most often that call to action is transaction. Whereas in branding, the call to action is also about, having equity or understanding where the brand is coming from. I think, as Alok mentioned and made that sweeping statement about, making an ad and forgetting about. I don't think so. I don't think before performance marketing became a term, it's not like marketers were not doing marketing. It's just that, traditionally the brands, the way they have distributed, and I'm speaking specifically from FMCG point of view, you're the performance marketing equivalent is really the trade marketing, because your customer is your retail channel. And that's where, the transactions are happening. And at the shopper end, it was always happening in terms of promotion. So I think what people have to realize is that in the online world, because those layers go away, you're dealing directly with the consumer. Now your scope of, personalizing and engaging with the consumers, even at a transaction or bottom of the funnel, as Alok said, goes up. And hence, that is what the opportunity for the new age marketers, which has got opened up. And hence, but having said that, nothing can replace branding, and I think it's important to keep investing in and building the brand, because for every, even I would just take an example, a brand like Apple, for example, probably not the most discounted brand at all, but has a deep fan following. People line up to buy the products in spite of them offering pretty much the least amount of discounts, etc., from whatever I am aware of as a consumer. So you need branding, and you obviously need to also understand, and you need to unlock the opportunity of performance marketing in today's is what I would start by saying.
Would you say the analogy of branding and performance is like in the old days, ATL and BTL breakup of the budget? or is there a difference?
No, I wouldn't say that, because I think that's putting it a bit too mildly. I think, but like I said, if you expect more transactional action to happen, I think that is where you would put to market, would put the marketing budget, so to speak. But I think it's important to understand that in the long term, the branding has to happen. Otherwise, we'll be seriously burning cash all the time.
Wonderful. With that, let's move to the digital first businesses. Abhinav, we see that typically the digital first businesses start with performance, and typically only after they get into their funding series B and beyond that they really get into branding. Is reliance on performance over branding, is it a compulsion driven by budget, or is it driven by ideology or faith that they actually believe in performance more than branding?
Thank you. So I will answer this question in maybe taking both the aspect of the marketing in a very different way. So whereas we see performance marketing as more as a push channel, and brand marketing more as a pull channel. So maybe in the early days, maybe this question is not very much related to my current organization, but maybe in the past what I have done. So when you are a new age company and you have to expand, performance marketing is the most easiest way to get the traffic, get the traction. So you know if your product it has a good fit in the market and how people are using it. So many of the young companies, they will use performance marketing to get the traffic in the beginning and test the product. So I feel that is one of the reasons. But in my previous organizations, we also ran brand marketing as a part of, like, we used to measure the brand as well. So not measuring brand, let's say, like if we can measure what is exactly happening with the brand, but then the cost we put into the brand marketing, we also measure that, and not to measure and eliminate something which is not working, but to find the sweet spot where we can go on expanding into brand marketing. So for the travel organization I worked before, we were very much heavily advertising, doing brand advertising on the TV and different places, but they were also measured very much on performance. So if you say that if you measure a brand as performance, then your brand is not built. So we built brand also, and it was built on a very, like, we can understand how much money we are spending and how big we can make this. So this is the difference for us.
No, let me just probe you a little further on that. Now,
Yeah.
if you have to look at it, say, take the big two in the market, e-commerce marketplaces, say the Amazon and Flipkarts of this world. If you have to look at the brand building budget, and Amazon, arguably, well, today, I would imagine that at least their performance budgets far outstrip their branding budgets. And if I have to look at Flipkart, probably even more so. Now, but the point I'm trying to reach to is Flipkart in its earlier days with its iconic kids advertising and all the rest of it has probably found a place or formed an equity which is arguably a little bit more enduring than just the in your face, buy me because I'm there kind of thing. So is that a point that maybe even these venerable marketplaces, are they over pivoted or over sort of indexed on performance versus branding as we speak?
I don't know exact budgets for both the companies mentioned here, but according to me, there should be always a ratio between performance and brand. And whereas as my work goes, I put more pressure on brand, building the brand, so give more budget to the brand marketing and less to the performance marketing, because performance marketing is very short term. And you just need to, if you want to drive a campaign, like maybe even if you came with some shopping festival or these events which keeps happening with the e-commerce players. So you still come with a bigger brand, and when you want to convert a lot, then you start spending more into performance marketing. So ideal situation should be always the brand marketing budget has to be bigger, because there you will let people love your brand, or you show your messaging. And the performance marketing is more specific to the product, whereas brand marketing is more specific to the company. If you really like the company or what the company does, or what is in whole they are trying to sell you. So this is, I see as a difference.
Wonderful. So Juhi, from your vantage position of just looking at just about the entire landscape, are you seeing any difference in the way that different companies, sectors sort of regard branding and performance. I was actually expecting the digital first to be more performance, but we have Abhinav also in fact, we've got one, Alok was seeming to be talking more in favor of performance, but having said that, what is from where you see, are you seeing different sectors react
Yes.
to it differently?
Yes, in fact, I'm seeing it not in terms of product sector, but more, I would call it in terms of the level of evolution of the brand team. And I've gone into the same kind of debate with myself about, can I do brand building versus why am I only seeing sales ads? And then I have to tell myself to also step back and see everything starts with the consumer purchase journey. And the mix of performance marketing versus quote unquote brand building that one does has to basically follow that. Which part of the consumer's life or the purchase journey is being lived within the digital world versus offline? What I see, a lot of my clients by way of nature tend to be startups and new brand launches. The thing that I think they're having to move away from was the belief that digital marketing is God's latest gift to marketing. And therefore, this is a quick, easy, cheap way to do launches versus doing those scary things called television campaigns. And I think they are shifting around to come back and say, you cannot look at one narrow part of the funnel. One has to get an understanding of the consumer. You have to see what stage of development that particular category is in. So protein powders versus health insurance versus chips versus electric vehicles, vastly different. So I think that the marketers, in fact, who've come from the classical view of saying it all begins with the consumer and understanding that person's life, get it. And I think the challenge is for anybody who's had a narrow view, either very new age people whose narrow view is, oh my God, life is now digital only, or indeed the hardcore old timers whose life was sales only. And, like you say, how do I belt on this strange new thing to the front of the train? Either one of them tends to be very narrow focused. So the difference, to answer your question, the difference that I see is more based on how marketing savvy or comfortable that particular organization is. And yes, everybody needs to, I think, take a step back and say, let's look at how this consumer is buying this brand. And then figure out what part of digital is going to impact which part. I mean, in the purchase journey, you talked about, for example, even if you finish branding and then the sale, there's a whole beautiful land of post-buy, which digital is in such a fantastic position to impact, either in terms of digital services or the kind of engagement that you can have one-on-one with that customer once you have their purchase details. So that whole challenge of how do I keep repeat going is again a place where I suppose we can use a lot of digital marketing. So I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. So at some point we have to come back and relearn that, guess what? Understand the consumer.
Great. So Manish, to you, currently when we look around the entire the branding performance game, in some organizations, we find sales heads are driving performance and those budgets. In some, the CMO is. In some, actually, we also see the CIO playing a huge role. Help us sort of from your perspective, what earlier used to be a classical CMO terrain, how do you see this typically sort of moving forward, and especially from a standpoint of branding and performance?
Yeah, so the way I see it's a fantastic opportunity today, and a lot of things are converging. So the CMOs and CIOs are getting together, and it's no more a prerequisite or perquisite of any, let's say, one department, one function. Because the beauty is that if you look at the consumers today, the amount of time they're spending on digital channels, whether they're phones or PCs or doing anything, is a big amount of time of their lives, And by virtue of digital, it's a great opportunity to know the consumers much more deeply, and not only at the surface, because they're surfing, they are buying, they are doing lots of other things. So it's a great opportunity to get to know them. And once you get to know them, what you present to them as an offer also reflects your brand in some way or the other. And the way we see is that in digital today, there are three components which are coming at fore. One is the content. And I think we always underestimate the power of content, but a dedicated team, which is looking at content all the time, which is classically I would say the domain and turf of the marketers, to think of content in a big way. And the second big piece which is coming is what you call the data science piece, which is the insights piece, because you are collecting a lot of data, but unless you analyze it properly, your offers on the marketplace are not going to reflect very well. And that's where the technology teams are coming in as well, because they are able to provide the insights which were not available earlier. And I think this collaboration of content and insights goes a long way in promoting what you call either it's performance marketing or brand building. And I must say that today the boundaries is also, is fizzling, because the experience of a consumer, whether when one is shopping, and it could be for a tactical purpose, also reflects your brand in the long term. So we cannot say that only one will prevail over the other, but we have to start looking at the entire experience for the consumer. And some part will go in performance marketing, but a big part of it will go as the experience part, which will, I would say, go a long way in building the brand as well.
No, but within an organization, how is it going to converge? Because for us in the agency landscape, typically, sometimes we find that sales head may be looking at more sales rather, and cost per acquisition is lesser importance, whereas in some other places, cost per acquisition becomes the driving one and not the other. So there are conflicting objectives. Now, how do you see, are you seeing organizations, advertiser organization or marketer organizations converging structurally, or do you see this being, or do you just see the CMO becoming also a CTO?
No, it's converging a lot. And as I said, one of the big roles which the technology folks are providing in any organization is the data science piece. And that data science team could be a separate team with these, let's say a CIO or a CDO, or it could also be with the CMO as well. So the question is that you need that team. And typically this team may be only technical as well, and without any domain knowledge today. And there are a lot of smart kids who will be able to give you wonderful insights. And that technology piece is one big piece. And the second piece is content. And I don't see content being taken up by the likes of CIOs, and that will always be a marketer role. So how you want to combine these will depend from organization to organization.
Perfect. So with that, Vivek, I'm going to come to you with a reality check. You are with the entire India Today group, so you are actually seeing the place where the rubber hits the road. From all the advertising spends that come to you, are you able to see how many of them are branding and how much is performance?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think alphabetical order and also in the sequence of gray hair, I come in the last. So interestingly, see, I'd like to start with the fact that I started as an ad sales guy. I moved on to a research role. Then I started trade marketing. Then I worked on distribution prioritization, and finally into a CMO role into TV, and then taken on digital. And now we're transforming the magazine business. The one thing that comes to me is that there is nothing in the media business or any business that is not expected to perform. So performance marketing by itself to me is a little bit of a vague area, because you're either expected to perform in long term or you're expected to perform in the short term, but you're expected to perform. I mean, that to me is the real big thing that we can't be running away from. Now, whether you're focused on demand conversion or you're focused on demand creation is perhaps the only difference I can make. But if you were to ask me, there are two businesses, one on the digital side. If you ask me whether I can say that any conversion exercise that I did not add to awareness, or any awareness exercise that I did not add to conversion, the answer is going to be it's almost impossible for me. In most cases, I would say that they are basically both of them are doing both the jobs. So while there's a bottom of the funnel, a lot of companies and their various life cycles like a pendulum, you're focusing there, but you have to keep fueling the funnel. So therefore both have their place, and if you have to have the funnel intact, you got to have both. So it's basically, you know, sometimes you have to think discount and sometimes you have to think premium. And if indeed they are different, then they really borrow a lot from each other. I mean, that to me will be the start of this debate from my side.
Okay. And just, do you think a consumer, do you think consumer can make out the difference between an ad served, which is a branding ad, and an ad served that's a performance ad?
So honestly, within our business, and I would say most of the categories, say till about 6-7 years back, and even the pre-pandemic, your touch point count would be between 2 to 3 with the consumer before he gets into, you know, sort of analyzing or considering your product. That's now risen up to 6 to 8 points. So let alone, you know, his threshold of noticing you has, you know, sort of gone so much that you have to touch him at 8 points. And if you don't have a consistent messaging, I mean, you're as good as dead. So there's no question of he knowing what is performance and he knowing what is not performance. I mean, today reviews do as much a job as a TVC does. But do you think a consumer is looking at a review as something performance and looking at a TVC as something which is non-performance? I don't think so. I think it's a sequential progress of messaging that needs to be consistent if you have to get to the bottom, or if you have to really walk the last mile with him.
Yeah. Though I would like to believe that at least for the digitally mature consumers, they know when an ad which is served to them is raising their emotional quotient and when they're being spammed for the 20th time on a remarketing ad. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, what you're saying is totally true. So, you know, when you're doing performance marketing, or let's say if we actually agree that performance marketing is different, the customer gets to know whether, you know, I am in the middle of the experimentation process, whether I'm interacting with him, whether I'm looking for feedback, am I using a certain mechanical lever which is not emotional. But to sort of support my earlier point, I don't think performance is not creative. I think performance is really, really, really getting creative. And in a lot of examples today, performance is far more creative than the creative. So therefore, no longer the domain of classical marketers. So I would assume that the customer is actually looking at it, you know, as a part of a sequential process.
Wonderful. So now, after having sort of traversed a little bit about basic understanding of performance versus branding, let's get into where exactly was the state of the nation when it comes to how they're being evaluated. Puneet, start with you. Today, are the two being viewed in silos, or is it a part of the funnel? And if any way, are we being able to capture the cross synergies?
No, they're not viewed in silos for sure. I mean, see, I mean, at the end, I think we give these fancy terms, digital marketing, classic marketing, and all. Marketing is where the consumers are. Today, we are all consumers in one sense or the other. We are all, I mean, today, I don't even remember an ad, whether I've seen it on a TV or a Facebook or a YouTube or whatever. You're just interacting, you know, with reams and reams of content, or, you know, you're engaging at every moment. And similarly is our consumer. So I think there is synergy happening. How and how much is the question, and people are trying to, you know, work their way out of that model. But yeah, I think synergies are happening, and they can't exist in silos for sure.
No, because at least I would argue today that if you ask how, okay, then in that case, I'm going to pin you a bit more. Just describe some ways in which you're able to actually capture synergies. I mean, and philosophically, we all know that, yeah, obviously a performance ad will play some kind of role in building awareness and vice versa. But how are we being able to capture it today?
I mean, you know, it's like, you know, in life, when you take decisions, you don't really know which one is the emotional part and which was the rational part of you that allowed you to take a decision. I think it's something like that. How it's helping is, for example, you know, while you build your brand, and especially let me talk about Sectectly as a, you know, our green tea brand, right? I mean, we're also using performance marketing to sort of kind of attack the different consumer cohorts that we get, and you know, sort of curating the messaging depending on, because I mean, at the end of it, we're all individuals who want healthy lifestyle. But depending on our sort of, interest, affinities, etc., I'm maybe operating with a different state of mind. And that's what performance marketing sort of helps you to tap into, while the brand building at an overall level will always remain. So that's where the synergies are happening, I would say. It is, like I said, it's very dynamic, and there's nothing which says you, this led to conversion or this led to this, because like I said, it's like real life. You don't know whether you took a decision based on emotional elements or rational elements, and that's how the synergy needs to happen also.
Okay. Alok, what we've been typically seeing is that, or at least some people say that when you do performance marketing, you're actually capturing the in-market audiences who are already looking out for your product. And therefore, typically the reach of these campaigns is also by definition pretty limited. The guys who are showing interest is serving them ads and reaping the benefits. Now, when you're doing branding, it's probably expanding the entire lot to have a much greater reach, and through that, hopefully drawing in potential audiences. So I think Abhinav earlier was talking about pull versus push. Now, do you see any way in which this is actually playing out with a marketer who's actually being able to drive these synergies? Or and any other ways in which you've actually been able to derive synergies?
I think, so Puneet started out on that journey. The idea is that what we should take out of performance is you are able to narrow down the customer or the consumer you are targeting, and hence personalize and customize the message. And the more you approach branding with the same mentality like you approach a performance marketing, saying that, Vikram's tastes are going to be very different from Vivek's taste. How do I personalize my message for Vikram as different from Vivek? And that's the approach to branding you take. You will get a higher ROI even for branding. So that is the best practice of performance that branding needs to learn. And my submission today would be that most brands have two separate budgets. You mentioned some of the .coms. Chances are they have a brand building budget for the year, and they have a performance budget for the month, measured differently. एक के साथ market mix modeling होती होगी, the other के साथ ROI होता होगा. Now the point is, the moment you operate with these two kind of silos, the money does not flow to where it will give the best top line or the best efficiency. Now, if you're able to break down the huge monolithic brand market mix modeling wala budget into, say, listen, this is not actually 5 cohorts. I want to actually go for 100 segments. And this is the difference, and this is the kind of content I will create for them. This is the kind of communication I need to do, while using the same brand principles, saying these are my brand values, this is my brand purpose, and this is how the performance message will dovetail into the brand purpose. Then you have a winner. So, let me explain it closer to my industry. I know there are people who are wanting to renovate because of damp walls. I know there are people who are wanting to renovate because of the marble tile being broken. How do I customize my ad for each individual segment? And I will be operating with hundreds of such segments. And then pretty much create content, advertising, which is in line with my brand purpose, and drive it. So to me, I think of it as performance branding. And I really don't think of them as performance marketing and branding, because I want branding to have the same accountability, to have the same focus on individual customer segments. And Juhi said it rightly. Every customer's purchase journey is unique. So how do you create and tailor content and advertising for that unique customer is what is important.
Wonderful. Do you think it is realistic for us to set a vision or a dream for us that we can market to 1.4 billion Indians one at a time at some time in the future?
Chances are you can simplify them into clusters, maybe not 1 billion clusters, but it's likely to be 500 or 1,000 clusters. And the more you customize and you use the AI tools to do it, you can customize it to a large extent.
Wonderful. Abhinav, I'm going to now ask you about with the thing of customization. what has been your experience with cohort targeting or trying to make these mini clusters? And which data have you sort of found the most useful? At one level, I'm going to look, Google, Facebook, and Amazon are the three people who actually give us some data, which is at one level very, very powerful. And then there is, of course, this entire first party data part that we all are talking about, but I think there's more talk than action. Do you find firstly, have you been able to do cohort targeting? And what's your journey there? And what is the data that you found most liberating?
See, cohort targeting happens mostly on the performance side. But just before I go ahead and answer this question, I think I'm just missing out one thing, that are we talking, when we are talking about brand marketing, are we only talking about offline and TV? And we are trying to miss out the digital part of brand marketing, which happens with online videos, or you show ads?
No, absolutely not. In fact, the brand marketing that we're talking about is definitely digital.
Okay. So
and also TV and offline.
Yeah. So till now, we have been getting a lot of data on digital, but one of the biggest drawback of offline and TV is that we don't get the real-time data. We get a kind of a approx reach, and many times those reach numbers are also not correct. We have seen last year the whole scam with some of the news channels, how those BARC numbers are represented. And nobody's talking about that also, like all the advertisers who lost their money because of higher like a false ratings on the TV channels. So I trust more on my data, my personal data, which I collect on every user. So it could be when I'm going to advertise using any of the platforms, every time a user makes a reaction, I can understand what exactly he or she wants. And then we start cohorting, making the cohorts. Even in terms of brand and digital marketing, there is a lot of data which is available. So we don't, if I'm doing a performance marketing campaign, then probably I will just see the clicks, installs, first transaction, and all those things. But if I'm doing a brand marketing, then I will not look so much into clicks and impressions and the direct actions thing. So Google gives you the data, like if you show a video to a person, so you can give a time slot of 4 hours, 5 hours, or 10 hours or something, and then you see if that person has done a view through conversion. So maybe he has seen your ad, and later from some other platform, or he comes and installs your app. So those data is also very important. So even brand can be put into a performance metric. So we cannot just say that just allocate a budget to brand and let it just go. Like if there is a yearly budget for brand, and you just have to spend this every month, and performance will get a monthly budget, brand will get a yearly budget. So the ultimate aim is to get a user or a consumer at the lowest price, and you have to find that sweet spot. It can go with performance marketing, it can also go with brand marketing. So even in terms of I also love to measure TV, but measuring TV is not with external data, but measuring TV with my own internal data. And this is how we expanded the travel company's marketing campaign, because we were measuring TV. So we knew exactly how much money we put every day on TV and what it is giving us back. But in the meantime, I will negotiate with the TV channels or the advertisers to get to the best cost per visit price. That, okay, this many people came because an ad was shown on your TV, or ad was shown on a certain channel. And then I will try to optimize to get to the lowest cost per acquisition, like or to get the visit. Because marketing, the main aim of marketing is to get the user to the platform. If he or she doesn't convert, that is the responsibility of the product. My job is to get the user on this thing. And so I don't see a huge difference when we are trying to measure brand and performance. But in terms of making cohorts, I'm also a bit against of making cohorts and deciding for the user that we will only show you these. We also keep experimenting by showing different ads in the cohorts also. So sometimes we decide that these cohorts will see certain kind of ads, but we change it. It is not that there is a status quo and that has to be maintained, because the user evolves. There are different parts of the user journey. You need to find them, which part they are, and then you will target with those ads. So we also do one more thing is take the long form of edits of the films and run it on brand campaign. So people can see the whole story, what product we are trying to show it to him. And then we see how many people have a bigger completion rate, people who like the ads, or probably they understood, or probably they're in need of those products. then we might target them with performance marketing with a smaller edits, like maybe a 5-6 seconds or a 10-second. But then we will try our best to present our whole story in long forms of video, which is not possible on TV, but it's very much possible on the digital medium, where a person, if he likes your ad, he can just watch it. He can watch it again. He can go back and stream it from the YouTube again. And so this is how we divide. We try to see that brand marketing should have long form of content, multiple forms of content, and whichever has a high view through or likability or more engagement, we will edit those and run it on performance, because then people can relate to those smaller edits more.
Excellent. So Manish, now I'm still taking the same technology platform ProPoint out here. I know that it's been over about maybe a couple of years that we've been talking. Everybody was talking about the death of a cookie sometime back. And then after that, people are talking about CDPs and then getting some AI into it and making it customer intelligence platforms. And then we're talking about DMPs. And of course, now the entire commerce platforms have come in. Now, commerce probably has taken off, but I would like to see, at least when I look around clients, I find the adoption of things like CDPs and even DMPs is actually pretty slow when it comes to marketing. What do you think is right now holding marketers from moving to, forget third gear, even second gear on some of these technology platforms?
I think the maturity, I was living in Europe and US for quite some time. And I must say that my experience has been quite different in different parts of the world in terms of the approaches being taken. So it will depend from company to company in terms of what technology they're adopting. But we see a lot of traction on one, very clearly on whatever data is being collected. Earlier there were cookies, and now there are customer intelligence platforms where even there are free APIs from Google and other players. Now, data is there, but I think the big thing which we do believe, and I'm seeing it in a lot of companies, is good investment in data insights. This data science team, which is now focused entirely on marketing, is coming up slowly. And that's where a lot of focus is being there. At the same time, I think the very fact, because we are talking personalization all the time in terms of what can be offered to each customer individually, I think the fact that content is going to be a differentiator, I think that feeling is also coming slowly and slowly. And as I said, I've seen, in my own experience, my previous companies do investing a lot in these areas. And even currently, I find that in my organization also, this is being taken up very seriously. So I won't say it will be one size fits all kind of a statement, but yes, they are picking up. And also one point I just wanted to add here, which is quite interesting, is that a lot of content now in digital marketing is getting very indirect. For example, I love to travel. Can you give me some tips? And then I might push my own products. I would like to decorate my home. Give me some ideas, and I might push my products. And I want to watch sports. Give me some ideas how to play something. So how to kind of content is also becoming very important. And I think that's a great way. For example, in industrial companies, how to repair things is becoming a big deal. Because that's how people get to watch those videos and then end up buying your products. So it's not performance marketing, is neither brand marketing, but more a utility marketing. And more we are able to push it, we'll find a lot of traction. So help me making a good cup of coffee, and what should be the brew, and the moment consumers understand it, they might end up buying, something like Tata Coffee. But I think this kind of thing was not possible earlier, but quite possible today. And I think that's where a lot of companies are investing as well.
Great. So Juhi, what is the future of attribution? Currently, is it true that to say that earlier they said 50% of every advertising works and we don't know which one? Then now people are saying, just about every last piece of advertising works. I don't think that's also true. But what exactly, what do you think is the situation on attribution today, and how's it going to get better?
I was saying Delhi bahut dur hai. So I think we're very far from knowing or being able to get an idea about what is working well. One, because as many people mentioned, a lot of elements do work together. So it is challenging to figure out what's working. But more importantly, I think from the point of view of the brand owners, we cannot use the same time and cost parameters to measure everything. That's the challenge. And I see a lot of advertisers still keeping money and thinking in silos and getting very trapped in ROI. So there is a lot of math and number that has come in for that last mile part, because everybody loves to see the dashboard and to see the impressions and the clicks and what's happening. And nobody can figure out why the ROAS has not moved in the last 8 months. And there are endless discussions about that, sort of completely forgetting the fact that, yes, if somebody, gets tips on how to be healthy or gets gyan from an influencer, you have no way of telling when that person will finally decide to do something about it. Yes, I think the macro view is required. Currently, it is far from ideal.
Vivek, I'm going to ask you it's a media question, and I think and I'm going to okay, let me just ask the question straight off. Do you think
you're already making it sound very tough?
No, it's not tough at all. I mean, there's nothing called tough. Do you think connected TVs is going to be the next big idea for marketers? Today, they would have less than 10 million perhaps, but with connected TV, you can get the best of the old world marketing with of course, all the kind of customization and the kind of digitization and the kind of performance as well as branding that you would have wanted. What is since you are in the business and you want to you got a space out there, what is your vision for CTV? Is it a strategic move forward?
So my answer is going to be an unequivocal yes. I think
we don't have to rely on seeing everything on this now.
Yeah. So the more we get connected, more these two streams of marketing come together. If you were to ask me, because I mean, coming from my experience, I have because India today actually has two brands that have carried the same name across TV, print, and the web domain. And Aaj Tak carries the same name on the channel, on the podcast, and now add to this a social media dimension, because social is actually for the news business a big reality. Social's really gone mainstream for us, and it pretty much stands for the brand as much as my website or my own TV channel does. So if you were to ask me whether connectivity is helping or not helping, it helps me on two fronts. Firstly, the data points that I get, and even before the connected TV was here, our biggest struggle was that I'm running the same business on TV, I'm running the same business on app, I'm running the same business on my YouTube channel, I'm running the same business on my podcast, and I'm also giving the feed to Hotstar. Now, are they cannibalizing? Are they amplifying each other? Is it one at the cost of other, or is it just that I'm really expanding my pie? And we actually developed an in-house tool because there's nothing else that was existing in the world. So we call it a ConsumeX, in the sense that we get the consumer from Twitter, we get his YouTube feed. So YouTube live data feed, my TV data comes at the end of the week, but my YouTube live feed, I almost see it real time. Therefore, it gives me enough time to project what's going to happen on TV. So the more I get connected, and the more view I have of all the other Omni platforms, the better I become as a marketer or as somebody who's, sort of interested for performance. I mean, that's how I'd put it, because I've seen both the ends, pre the pandemic or pre the fact that, we ever ventured taking the magazine onto the TV side was a big risk for us. And initially it's a very strong risk return ratio. But we've realized that, the more we take brands into various dimensions and they talk their different languages in their various arenas, but they are unified at the back, somewhere emotionally there is a connection. So while you have many data points, I mean, I would ideally like to put it that it's a combination of data points that make an emotional connection. And that to
Wonderful.
me is really what news is going to do.
Okay, great. I think we guess what, we managed to get the omni-channel word into our panel discussion. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, guys, we have now about 10 minutes left to close. So I think I'll give it to each of you to make some closing statements. In that, my only request to you is if you can just tell me, since it's a branding and performance kind of panel discussion, what is your split between branding and panel today? What do you think it's going to be 2 years from now? And how do you see this in these 2 years? How do you see the journey going? Just some last words, a minute and a half each. Puneet, please.
Sorry, I was struggling with that. Sorry, I didn't get the question last.
So if you can tell us what your branding versus performance budget today is, what do you think, what's the split? What do you think it will be 2 years from now? And some key things about what's going to happen in the journey in the next 2 years.
I mean, I like I said, it's not about the split of the budget. All I would say as a closing remark is I think marketing, has to, like I said, also evolve and learn. Mass marketing I'm talking about is can't just rely on spray and pray sort of technique that used to possibly happen earlier. I need to get far more sharper and richer insights, as and when you are dealing with the consumer audience, the cohort. So obviously the performance marketing will only go up. But like I said, the one can't exist without the other. They have to converge. But branding is something that will make your brand outlast the others. Performance marketing is what will give you that oxygen, keep on sustaining, so that you last the journey. That's what my words would be.
I'm getting the sense that you will be betting more on branding than performance from a money standpoint.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's mix it up a bit. Manish, your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, before I came into technology, I used to be a marketer. So and it's a bit of interesting to see both the worlds, but I'll be a bit more radical here. And I would say these words would stop existing, and the differentiation between performance and brand marketing. There will be a convergence at some point in time, because what we will end up doing as what we call performance marketing would eventually lead to your brand building in some way, and vice versa. So I think that lines which are distinct today are going to get blurred, and it'll be only one, which will be a digital marketing to know your consumers and present a personalized offer, whether it's related to your product or services or to something which the customer cares about. It could be a social issue or any other thing or lifestyle issue, but I think it's going to dovetail, and I don't see that split going forward.
Wonderful. Abhinav?
Yeah, right now it could be something going around equal, but going forward, I see more spends increasing in brand. But then just said that the spends in brand will increase. It will not increase just because it is brand. It will increase because we will be measuring brand. And there has to be multiple ways. We might not be successful in measuring 100% what it has given to the brand, but at least we will be able to judge some part of it, at least 80 or 90% accuracy, that how this brand has been performing. So if we have been building this brand, how it has performed for us. And I feel that brand spends will go up, but more in where we can check the performance of those brand campaigns.
Great. Vivek?
Yeah. So I'm going to say 50-50 because I've really seen the inadequacies of a skewed focus at various life cycles of the brand. So on one side, I've seen where the classical marketing guys sit, where I've seen gorgeous websites that get no organic traffic, long page loads, and impossible to navigate pages. The other side, I've seen, amazing SEO, UX, affiliate marketing, but I'm borrowing from you that the consumer knows that it's dry, robotic, too salesy, and looks like a byproduct of another brand. So I'm going to keep it 50-50 because clearly to sum it, the way the environment is so dynamic, I really can't say that there is a clear path to purchase. The path to purchase is changing every day, or at least it's very dynamically changing. So I'd like to invest in both the streams, and I'd like to give each of the teams less budget than what they demand, so that at least if they can't become code dependent, they become collaborative. I mean, that would be my summing up.
Lovely. Juhi?
Purely given digital's origin story, I would see it moving more towards brand building, because if we think about how it all came in, it was supposed to be the efficient, the quick, the easy way to make a sale. And therefore, by definition, it sort of started from that part of the funnel. And I think the progression will be towards branding. What I certainly hope to see happen is a lot more intelligent and interesting marketing. Even around that, because then, people, I think brands will be forced to sit and think about how to make that, even that performance marketing work better, or how it's so nice to hear about customization. It's very hard to do. So if truly somebody sat down and said, how would I make messaging that is differentiated, interesting to 100 people? I mean, do it for 5, yeah, let's see that. So yes, I'm sure as people suddenly realize that we are all stuck at, 0.38 ROAS, which we don't like, we will get creative, I hope.
Fantastic. Alok, you get the last word.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I have the luxury of having miserably small budgets. So I'm endlessly creative, and it allows me to have customization like nobody's business, because if I don't customize, I'm dead. I have no hope of winning against the big leaders in my space. So I am disruptive, and I would come with a approach. So I actually don't have a split between performance and brand. I actually also don't have a split between brands in my company. We are all in one big silo, which is very, very individual, cohort driven. So, whatever works for the cohort is what we will do.
Wonderful. I think we've had a very stimulating 55 minutes. The sense I'm getting is that sooner or later, we are talking branding and performance today, but it will sort of harmonize and sort of become one marketing maybe a few years from now. Consumer is obviously at the heart of it. The consumer journey is the heart of it. I think our ability to use tools and data and use it intelligently and constantly be evolving through experimentation and then scaling up is the way where we'll probably get more accountability and sort of better return on investment. And yeah, and probably hopefully from now, we will be in a few years from now, we will be in a situation where we are able to customize a little bit more and possibly get much more bang out of our buck, whether it's branding, whether it's performance, who cares, so long the brand grows. Wonderful to have this fascinating panel. Thanks everybody for being here. And over to you, Nisha.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you so much for absolutely a brilliant panel. You were wondering how you will keep everyone stimulated for an hour. I guess you could actually have gone on longer, but I'd request you to leave a few minutes for Q&A if there are any questions. So Anisha, please take over, and then of course I'll come back again.
Right. If there are any questions for the panelists, I would request the viewers to type them in. Questions that we have been answered by Mr. Bhatt previously, but this was a very insightful discussion. And if there are any questions coming in, because, there are all kinds of companies, different sizes, different approaches, and it's no one size fits all. So if there are any questions that are coming to your mind, having heard our panelists, do type it in, and we'll take those questions up and pose them to our speakers. You can just type your question in the chat box, and we'll take it up. So Jayanta Roy has a question. B2B branding is gaining significance. What do you think of B2B? Mr. Sakhuja?
I think it says B2C is gaining significance. What do you think of B2B? It will be great if you can actually direct it to the panelist who you want to address the question to. But
yes,
can I put
Mr.
this
Sakhuja,
on?
You can direct this to one of the panelists.
Sorry, okay. Manish, would you like to take this?
Yeah, happy to take it. Again, I think the B2B advantage is you have more proximity with the customers because they are limited in numbers. You know them better, you have better insights. And typically, it will also be a close community of some kind. For
It is
example,
tomorrow, not today.
So it could typically be a community, and where actors would be known to you. And I think one of the things will be, how do you really serve them and on day-to-day transactions? Again, that's very, very crucial. And you can also start offering to this community a lot more product and services than what they are getting from you. So there's a great opportunity of what I call the cross-sell, upsell in that community, very focused and directed. And I see this trend gaining more and more momentum going forward, because B2C is a very large area, but B2B is not tapped today. And there's a great opportunity, and more will come from what kind of value you can give. For example, if there's a transporter community which is dealing with you, can you offer them financing in a better way? Can you offer them can you help them making up what they call return load, which is difficult for them? So there'll be different use cases, but I'm sure B2B will pick up going forward.
Yeah, in fact, if people do adopt a customer data platform, and if you can take your CRM data, which typically comes from B2B, and fuse it with some of your other first-party data, the gentleman before us, Mr. Bhatt from Policy Bazaar, he had some amazing ways in which you could have actually used AI, ML to actually make magic out of that and get some lead indicators. So actually, we've always been doing B2B marketing at a one-to-one basis or a community basis. I think whatever we've spoken today has the ability to add much more richness if you can actually add more data layers to it. Any other question?
As of now, we don't have any more questions that have come in. So I would like to thank you for taking up the questions as well, and sharing your insights with us. Thank you all for joining us. And this discussion was very insightful, and we thank you for taking your time and for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with everybody who's been attending this virtual summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.